Hey guys, welcome to the WAN show. Sorry we are a little bit late this week. I'm gonna blame it on me being sick. This is my, well, I was gonna say tissue pile, but it's obviously toilet paper. Never mind what I'll be doing with the toilet paper. It's for wiping my nose. Just calm down. Anyway, we've got a great show for you guys today. FreeSync, AMD's proposed equivalent, I guess, to G-Sync is apparently a thing. We'll be talking about that in more detail, or maybe it isn't a thing. Maybe it's not a thing yet. Yeah, I think that's really all there is to say. Steam Dev Days was this week, so in addition to CES and all the stuff that's going on there, plus the fact that we didn't have a show last week, so there's some stuff that's still important enough from a couple weeks ago that we want to talk about. So there's a bunch of news around that.
Mozilla warns people to watch their code. More on that later. I'm not going to go too deep into that. And AMD 1355 beta driver is coming out with a ton of support for all their new technologies that they've been talking about, most namely Mantle.
Yeah, Mantle, and technologies nobody's been talking about, like True Audio. Anyway, intro. Today's show is brought to you by Squarespace, the easy way to create a beautiful website for your blog, store, or I'm sure there are lots of other things you could want to create a website for, a portfolio, for example, or a company, which is exactly what we use it for. If you head over to linusmediagroup.com, you can check out our Squarespace website. And thank you very much to Squarespace for sponsoring the show today. Now, while I buy some time while I get back to the document, you know what? Why don't we jump right into AMD's new drivers? So I think I'm actually, yep, I'm going to sign out on the forum here real quick. There we go. And then I'm going to follow that link again. Boom! All right. So this was posted by Tom P. Pix. That's how I'm going to say it. I don't know how it's intended to be said. But AMD's new beta driver is going to be coming with Mantle support, something people have been extremely excited about for quite some time. Dual graphics frame pacing support. So on an APU, dual graphics is what they used to call hybrid crossfire. So that's where you use your integrated graphics and a discrete GPU to run in crossfire, essentially. But I guess now they call it dual graphics, whatever. To use them both to make games or other applications potentially run faster. So that's coming. It's not a solution that I've ever really recommended in the past because typically you'd be better off spending a few more bucks on a much better discrete GPU and then just not bothering to use the integrated at all. But who knows? Maybe that'll be different. Maybe we'll have a look at that. HSA feature support is coming. This is something people haven't been talking about enough outside of the hardcore tech circles. So there will be more on that later in the show, I believe. And if there isn't, then guys, remind me, like spam my Twitter until I come back to it because we do need to talk about HSA. And then, of course, True Audio support, the feature that may be exciting at some point, but right now, because there is absolutely no game support, is kind of like, well, if I had a flag, here, my toilet paper flag.
Oh, God.
I mean, it's great. It really is an exciting technology. Having programmable, dedicated hardware just for audio. Again, I mean, remember, we used to have this. Creative cards, EAX, environmental effects, acceleration. And you know what? It was good. It worked. It was better than crappy onboard solutions. And then Microsoft brings Vista along and they're like, nope. We don't need hardware accelerated sound anymore. Go away. Well, great. Let's bring it back. And True Audio looks like the solution. It's just that I think there's like one AAA game, Thief, that is going to support it right off the bat. But if that goes really, really well, then that could be a very good thing. So all of this is, I mean, there's a whole lot of theoretical. I mean, this has kind of been AMD's thing lately, is here's a thing that could be great, but, you know, we'll
do it at some point.
We'll give it to you later.
Although a lot of them are coming out now.
Yeah, and the fact that they're releasing this driver now could be an indicator that we're getting close to BF4 with Mantle.
Yep.
Obviously, the driver kind of had to come first because EA and DICE could have been like, Yay! Mantle game!
No driver.
No driver! And then it'd be like, you guys could feel like reviewers for a change. We're like, graphics cards show up on our doorstep, and we're like, wow, it looks really good.
I wonder what I'm supposed to do with this alien technology.
Yeah, like I could put it in the slot, and whoa, 1024 by 768. No drivers. So that's definitely exciting, or that's definitely something that had to happen. There's actually some evidence. They are backing up what they're saying. Here's the QAIN frame pacing feature. So the red line shows smoother and better dual graphics performance. Remember, guys, variance is bad. So this blue line is the variance in frame times, and then this red line is actually very tight. Looks quite good. They've got a couple peaks here, but really not that bad at all. Co-processing capabilities. Okay. So I guess, should I just talk about HSA now and why it's exciting?
We can. That makes sense because this is using.
Okay, this is a bit specific. So so this example right here is using the GPU that's built onto the QAIN APU as a coprocessor specifically for gaming, but it could be used as a coprocessor for lots of things. But the thing that they're demoing right here is actually in a gaming application using a dedicated Radeon graphics card such as an R9 290 to render the scene, and then using the R7 class onboard graphics to do physics calculations using OpenCL, for example. Now, there are lots of things that could leverage this, whether it's Photoshop or whether it's video editing software or whatever else comes with OpenCL 2.0 support in the future, which AMD showed off some specific examples of why it should be implemented, because they're saying, okay, well, look, OpenCL 2.0, sure, it's new code, but it's a lot simpler than even OpenCL 1.x was to implement, so there's no real reason why any software developer who wants to leverage the GPU for more power shouldn't just code in OpenCL 2.0, which means that the software will be able to leverage not only any OpenCL compatible GPU, and that's from the AMD or the NVIDIA side, but specifically the HSA architecture of QAIN, which means that both the CPU cores and the GPU cores can access the system memory at the same time and work on the same workloads, which compared to having one of them work on one thing and one of them take instructions from the other about when to work on the other thing and pass the information back and forth over PCI Express, this is going to be much more efficient. They actually showed off some pretty compelling demos in part 2 that you guys unfortunately missed, but they were showing, okay, well, let's take this versus a 4670K or a 4770K. We're talking about a significantly less expensive processor, and there was some no loop going on. Speaking of no lube, I've been working on a review of the Etymotic ER4 IEMs, and man, they sound amazing. It's like if the musician found a way to beam sound into your head.
Well, it does look like actually it could beam something into your head.
Yeah, and the isolation's speaking of penetrating your head, the isolation is outstanding. But I gotta say, it reminds me of the episode of South Park where, do you know the It episode? Where Mr. Garrison invents a new vehicle. Okay, well, whatever. It's the episode where Mr. Garrison invents a new vehicle that involves like a thing that goes into your rectum, and then another thing that goes into your mouth, and then like these grips, and it's like extremely uncomfortable to operate. But the slogan of the company is "It's better than flying," and putting these into my ear actually kind of reminds me of the sort of the process in the episode of getting onto. No, really, it's like actually kind of painful, but then once it's in there, it's kind of okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, why don't we move on to our next topic?
Do you want to talk more about HSA in general, or?
No, I think I pretty much said what I have to say. I mean, we're going to be doing a build guide with a QAIN CPU, and we're going to be finding some examples of HSA to show you guys and how it can accelerate the computing experience, whether it's gaming or whether it's video editing or photo editing, and it's extremely exciting. So there you go, new driver, yay! Speaking of new drivers, this has nothing to do with driving. In fact, actually, that's kind of interesting. Smart contact lenses. Should you wear them while driving? This was posted on the forum by Top War Gamer, and the original article is from Engadget. Check this out, guys. If you haven't heard about it already, then now you have. This is the smart contact lens designed for, well, medical reasons. This is not a Google Glass replacement, to be very clear. I mean, it would be pretty cool
Yeah.
If we could put a heads-up
Well,
display up.
it might also eventually be. Right.
But for now, we're looking at something that is designed to help folks suffering from diabetes monitor their glucose levels wirelessly. And there's a couple points that I have to bring up about this. So number one is, holy balls, that's cool. Because
Yep.
here, let's go back to that picture for a second. Look at this thing. Right there, on between two soft layers of contact lens, there is a processor, there is a wireless transmitter, and presumably something in here is a power source, although none of the articles I could find were mentioning anything.
I have no idea. I
Could
couldn't
be-
find it either.
Could be heat.
My only idea that I could come up with was heat, because I couldn't, like, I don't see, there's nowhere for it to store power. There's nowhere for it to, like, receive power, as far as I can tell.
Well, it could be like the porn industry. It could be powered by tears.
Wow, this week.
Yeah, I'm kind of off to a bad start.
Jeez.
No, but it does use your tears to monitor glucose levels. I mean, this will be a fantastic device for folks that are not wanting to use invasive methods of determining their blood sugar levels. And yeah, I think it's just really, really cool. Here, check this out. There we go. Soft contact lens, sensor, detects glucose in tears, chip and antenna. So maybe the power source is something else entirely. Maybe it is heat.
Well, yeah, because there's the rings. So if those rings could somehow feed heat as energy to the rest of the chip.
Those just look like circuits that, like, I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know why they go around the entire.
Yeah,
thing.
I guess there's no real compelling reason for that, other than that they'd make you look like a super badass. It's like people are gonna want diabetes.
Yeah,
'cause
those
they're
must be
gonna,
visible, eh?
like, look awesome.
That would actually look pretty cool.
That would look sweet. All right. So anyway,
Terminator Eye thing going on.
my main point about this is that I think wearable technology is I think people are missing the point a little bit. The idea behind wearable technology, like people look at smartwatches and they go, oh, let's cram like the power of a phone into it. And I think there's notable guys like the Neptune Pine. I actually kickstarted it fairly early on, and I'm gonna get my hands on it, and I'm gonna give an objective review to it. But
Objective review.
I'm probably gonna have
He's
to.
gonna slaughter it.
I'm probably gonna have to destroy it because I'm expecting battery life to be stupid, and I'm expecting wearing the thing to be equally stupid. To me, the idea of wearables is that they should all work together within an ecosystem. Like the phone of the future, to me, is one that lives in your pocket. I think we talked about this with John Rettinger when he was on the show. But the phone lives in your pocket, and it's kind of the processor that goes behind everything. But the screen becomes not that important anymore. You know, to me, a next generation Google Glass should just be a dummy device. It shouldn't even have its own storage. It should just be linked to the phone as a processor, and it should focus on what you need, which is the display and the speaker, and
That's about it.
that's about it. Microphone maybe. You could have other smart devices that are better microphones.
Yep.
Like, I don't see any reason why, if you can power a contact lens with heat, for example, I mean, that girl from Vancouver Island who had the heat-powered
The
flashlight.
torch.
I don't see a reason why you can't have a heat-powered microphone chip embedded in your lip. Then all of a sudden we don't have to even think about microphone positioning. Everything clipped into you or around you that's linked into your wearable ecosystem that you carry can just get a crystal clear signal from your mouth. So that, to me, is where wearables are headed. So things like the contact lens that has a very specific function, it doesn't need a computer on it. It's good enough already, and I think it's really cool. They are looking at adding LED lights for indicators. So I guess it's just feature creep at that point. Just keep adding things. Don't send a pop-up notification to the phone. We need LED lights.
Yeah, the LED lights for indicators on the contact is like, okay. I wonder how annoying that might be.
Well, how annoying would you want it to be? If you were diabetic, and it's like, yeah, yo, dude, go, like, eat something.
Yeah, good point.
It's like, beep, beep, beep. I mean, that's fine. I'm okay with that.
If you're, like, saving someone serious damage, it kind of makes sense. We're at 4:58.
Okay, so why don't we bring on our guest? Did you get the guest lower third? Is it there? Oh my, seriously? Is that his picture?
I didn't make it, man.
All right. Well, let's bring QAIN in.
Are those plugged in?
I don't know, man. Do I look like I know what's going on over here?
It's right here. Oh yeah, you are plugged in.
It's right
or
here.
Something's plugged in.
Oh yeah, I'm plugged into the other thing. Where's the other, more different thing?
What?
No, I'm monitoring the show.
There.
Oh, I can go here?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going here then.
All right. So QAIN is right here.
User was moved to your channel.
Yo, dog, welcome to the show.
It's good to be here. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
It's been a fantastic day, and I now get to sit here, talk to you guys, and hopefully my neighbors blasting their amazing music will not disrupt our show too much.
You know what? I can't hear anything now. I would like to sort of start with something before I even let you introduce yourself. Kane, tell me something. This picture right here. What is with the glasses?
You know, everybody asks me about that. Everybody. I've even got to the point where I've made a decree that basically says, "Don't ask me about the glasses." And
I know.
the reason, and I know you, so it's okay, because you know, getting this on this wonderful little show here, and I know you, so it's okay to ask that. My biggest problem, actually, and I'm going to answer your question in a long-winded way, is that people who I have never met, who have never shown up on my stream or never shown up on our channel, the first thing out of the gate is like, "Hey, dude, what's with the glasses?" And I think that's to be the most offensively rude thing you could say to me, mainly because it's something that I'm doing it. There's a reason for it. I have my reason. You may not know what it is, and many people may not know what it is. But you don't invite someone into your home, or, you know, you don't walk into a store and the first thing you do is like, "Hey, dude, really, what's with that huge goiter on your face?"
What's with the braces? You know?
Exactly. You know, you don't pick something about somebody and then just immediately start questioning it because you have no idea. And I use I think it was one of the Emmys or one of the Oscar shows, and I think it was the actor from Dexter was wearing like a bandana. And whoever was on E or whatever was with the microphone with the red carpet, made a crack about it and then asked him about it and was like, "Hey man, what's with this new do?" I mean, and she made a joke and he just turns around and goes, "I have cancer." And it was like, oh, let's just, you know, immediately
And now
take
the
the piss out
commercial.
of that. Right?
And
No, exactly. So that's kind of where I kind of get a little bit of a tiff about it, which I wanted to just get that out there. But as with the glasses, to be perfectly blunt, my eyes are severely augmented. I've had multiple cybernetic surgeries and such, and it's just better for everybody not to see what goes on behind the glasses.
cybernetic surgeries. That's cool, I think. I mean, sorry,
Yeah.
I don't know much about it, so forgive my ignorance, but it sounds awesome.
I know. Well, I'm a time traveler. It's okay.
That is really cool. I had no idea.
Me neither. I've met him so many times. You'd think he'd be spending all the... Oh, but I guess if he's a time traveler, he can spend all of his time everywhere.
We would never know.
No.
I've
No.
actually just started watching Doctor Who. I'm on season 2. It's kind of stupid.
I've never ever watched an episode of Doctor Who.
It's because he is the Doctor. So why would he watch the show?
Uh-oh. Have we stumbled onto a secret here? That we
Well,
would never get to know about?
I do hang out in a police box all the time.
Oh, okay. I'm pretty sure he's actually the Doctor. So I've actually never seen any episode of Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's kind of goofy. It's British TV, so it's you just
But I love The Office, and The Office is based off of British TV.
it's based off of British TV, but they didn't make it quite British TV because that's too scary for mortals in some ways.
Have you seen the British version of The Office?
No, I haven't.
I'm buying time because I have no idea what the heck you're doing.
Oh, I'm firing up our CES playlist because I was going to go through and see some of the things that I thought were probably the coolest. So why don't we kick into our real topic? Kane, what was your top couple show highlights? You and Logan spent a fair bit of time on the floor, and how was that?
We spent a lot of time running around the North and the Central Hall. We actually spent the least amount of time in the South Hall, which is where all the stuff that we really wanted to get to was at. Because we're like, let's just work our way through it. And
North to south.
In the North,
Make perfect
exactly.
sense.
And in the North Hall was a lot of car audio and stuff that was just like, nah, it's stuff. There was a really cool, there's a solar car, and I think it was the iRoad by Toyota, which I thought was kind of fascinating. But that was kind of nifty. We get into the Central Hall, we get into some camera stuff, and there was a Sony camcorder that had a gyroscope image stabilizer that was really impressive, and it goes above and beyond any of the other image stabilization that I've ever seen, which was pretty awesome. But then once we got to the South Hall, I was really kind of fascinated with Belkin bringing back the Linksys WRT model router.
Yes.
That's right up my alley, because I've been waiting for a piece of hardware that was designed for an open source firmware for a long time, and this, like the 54GL that's been out for forever. This one's gonna. It was designed with the OpenWRT team in mind, and those guys actually helped out in designing what was going to happen with it and programming the interface, and it's gonna be pretty nifty right out of the gate.
You know what excites me most about that router is the fact that Linksys is genuinely excited about the router.
Yeah.
When I talk to folks from Linksys about EA 4200, Cloud Connect, and like all that kind of stuff, none of them really seemed impassioned by it. They weren't excited about it. I mean, the folks that I talked to at the booth were like, they were giddy. They were like, we got the old team back together. You know, some of them have moved on, bless their hearts, but like, we got the team back together. We got the go-ahead from Belkin, where they basically, okay, in sort of, I'm not going to put words in anyone's mouth, but paraphrasing, they basically said, do whatever the hell you want, just fix it.
I think now people are kind of happy because of the acquisition. Where at first I think a lot of people were a little bit apprehensive and weren't so sure, but now it's like, yeah.
It's like,
yeah, I agree. I agree with him there, because that was my statement. I was like, Belkin. I've never been a big fan of Belkin's hardware. It's been on my lower tier. And then when Cisco got a hold of Linksys, it was the first generation Cisco Linksys was okay, and then everything just kind of went. And I'm just gonna go and get an enterprise grade router for my house now, because that's you can get them on eBay for relatively dirt cheap. So
I got really excited about the Cisco acquisition back when that happened, because I went, wow, they're going to inject their expertise into Linksys. But instead, it looks like the only thing they really injected into Linksys was enterprise grade profit margin expectations, and trying to build consumer-grade hardware around those expectations that just weren't realistic at all. And that's why they ended up dumping the business unit to Belkin in the end, because they were like, okay, well, let's figure out how to, charge $200 for hardware that's really unexceptional when you've got competitors like ASUS knocking down their door, breathing down their necks by building sort of, hardware that is designed to be run with open software and is powerful. I mean, that's what ASUS is so good at. Just put some really powerful hardware in there and the rest will kind of follow. And that wasn't going to work. So I'm really excited to see Belkin's approach here.
Yeah, no, that's kind of like I said. I'm in the same boat you're in with that one. Is that when Linksys was acquired by Cisco, I was like, yes, excellent. And you can look back at our old DDWRT video I was talking about, like, it's owned by Cisco, it's going to be great. And then it was like, 6 months later, I was like, okay. And I was suggesting people not get the Cisco stuff, at least not the lower end equipment. And then later on we talk about building your own router and getting PF Sense, but then you're actually taking an old computer, and those things are power hungry. They're big pieces of equipment. They work amazing, but they are big beefy pieces of equipment that eat a lot of power.
But the interface is not that user friendly. I mean, that's something that DDWRT has done so well, is they've taken this functionality and this backbone, and then they've skinned it in such a way that real people can actually use it.
Oh, absolutely. And and that was one of the things that why I recommend DDWRT for anybody who's getting any router. That I'm like, go find a router that you can put DDWRT on it, because it enhances your functionality. You have a little more fine-tuned control over your wireless, over your routing functions. All of that stuff is there. And if you really want to delve into the backbone of the operating system that is that firmware, you have that option. You can get into SSH, you can get into the command line and go really crazy with it.
So what was your next highlight once you got past the supremely exciting router that I hope isn't boring any of the viewers on the stream? Because guys, this is actually genuinely exciting, other than the $299 price tag. But
yeah, I mean, now that was because the Asus has got. Somebody asked me the other day. They said, why is this different from the Asus router? Because there's an Asus router out there that's just very similar in specs.
Yes.
And I'm like, it's built with OpenWRT, guys. So it's that let's hack your router kind of mentality. So it's genuinely exciting that they're giving us this piece of equipment that we can play around and manipulate, and they're saying, knock yourselves out, which is what the WRT was really kind of famous for anyway. The next highlight I think on my list is actually nothing to do with the show itself.
Really?
It was the first night that we were there, or that I was there. I showed up. There was a party with, like, I think it was Intel and MSI, and then we bumped into you and the other guys from Paul and Kyle and Logan and everybody, and we all just sat down at that breakfast, and we just had that big chit chat hangout session, that was the highlight of my entire weekend.
That was actually super fun. I think one of the things that I enjoyed more than anything else at the show this year was I actually got to meet quite a few YouTubers for the first time. Like, QAIN, you and I have met before, Logan and I have met before, Paul and I have met before, Kyle and I have met before, but I ran into Marcus Brownlee, and we ended up sitting in the food court at one of the hotels talking for like 5 hours, me, him, and Austin. And then I ran into Lou from Unbox Therapy again, had met him before, but I got to meet Soldier Knows Best. I got to meet Lamar Wilson. I ran into pretty much everyone, which is, I don't know. Yeah, I'm a YouTuber, but still, you gotta kind of geek out over these like super huge dudes and just kind of like chilling with them. So I thought that was really cool.
Brandon and I met Philip DeFranco, and my mom especially has been watching him for like since YouTube was created. So I got to make her pretty jelly when I got home.
That's awesome. I was wondering if he was going to be there at the show, but I was looking for him, and it was somebody else I was looking for that I was really hoping to bump into, or just happened to randomly pass and go, hey, wait a minute, I know that guy, but neither one of those happened. I think we that night that you were hanging out with them at the hotel.
Yeah, you guys bailed on me.
We ended up over at hanging out in Fractal's suite, playing pool, and I think Dimitri from Hardwood Canucks was there, and some other guys from I think it was Massdrop. They showed up, and we were hanging out with them, which was a crazy conversation. And then it was just the guys from Fractal. Kyle was there from Newegg, and a bunch of these other cats just came in and out, and we were like, cool. And then we were looking to bump into you, but you guys were over at the other hotel, and it was just like we were having a good time. So it got late, and we're like, let's just do what we need to do. And I really regret not coming over and hanging out with you guys, because that was something that both Logan and I talked extensively about, and then we just kind of got wrapped up in the little bit of a party that we were at.
It always happens at CES. You intend to go 20 places, you make it to 8 of them, and you send out 12 apologies, and that's all you can do.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I said, even with Logan and I mean, we were there for 2 days, but we spent most of Thursday, well, I was there for 2 days, but we spent most of Thursday and Friday in the North and Central Hall, and we tried to get to the South Hall, but we got there like as they were shutting down, which was kind of nifty, because we bumped into some random these random vendors, and we just stopped and like, hey, I know you guys are like 30 seconds from like pulling the plug on all this, but can we have a 5-second interview? And they were like, no problem. Which was pretty crazy. They were really, really good to us. So thanks everybody that was there. It was a good time.
You know what's funny is I had a similar story. One of my last minute, actually one of my show highlights was equally last minute. In my video, they're behind me tearing down the booth while I like do my spiel on what I think is one of the coolest things ever. Now, this kind of technology has existed for quite some time. So using proximity and Bluetooth in order to do things like let you know if you leave your keys behind, or allow you to find something. But what I thought was really cool about Stick and Find is that they have models that are as small as like your typical what is that battery type called? Like those super flat, super thin ones.
I don't know the exact name, but everyone just calls them watch batteries.
Yeah, so basically like the size of one of those sort of larger but still super skinny watch batteries that has a battery that lasts for a year. So you could conceivably replace your battery once a year on your cat's collar and just use any Bluetooth-enabled smartphone to play the hot and cold game to find your cat. So as someone who had their cat missing for 5 weeks and would have given anything to have something that they could put on the seat or like stick to the dash and drive around the neighborhood and wait for it to go beep, 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 and then I can start tracking him down from there, would have been amazing. It's got a range of something like 100 feet to, I think they have one that that goes up to 200 feet. Well, that one's a little bit bigger. And then they have one that works over a span of, I think it's like a mile or something like that, or half a mile. And it's got a rechargeable battery. It's a bit bulkier, but it's like the ultimate never lose your car, your cat, or your child again. And that was really cool for me.
They're called button cell batteries.
Thank you.
Button to cell batteries. Yeah. Now, actually, you talk about this, and my mind goes to like crazy, the dark side of the universe, and I always think of how can these things be used for evil? Not so much that I could use them that way, but to prepare myself in the event that somebody else may want to, or maybe we can all be aware of these kinds of things. So you get something that, you're talking about losing your cat, and that right there is definitely something I think this could be used for, and stick on the collar or whatnot, your keys, that kind of jazz. But then there's also that random fear that I have of somebody's gonna like tag your car, or someone's gonna maybe tag your briefcase or some other kind of device or something that's going to be on the move, so they could track you down, they could stalk you, if you will, and that kind of creeps me out a little bit, because I know, I'm like, if I'm thinking this, there are 30 other people who are already prepping to do this.
Absolutely. And think about this too. The one that I got, which is the 1-year battery, that's the size of a button cell that lasts for a year, is like $50 for 2. So you could conceivably buy like 20 of them for $500 and track everything.
Or like if in the case of a car, put 10 of them on a car, and then if the person finds 2 or 3,
Then whatever.
not so good. But then you just have to kind of like this kind of stuff comes up with all these new technologies that are coming out, like Google Glass. There's that huge evil side of it that everyone's just like, oh God, please don't. And I think just society as a whole is going to have to change. Like maybe there's going to be something that'll come out that can sense these things really easily.
Yeah.
So you can bring it into your car, and maybe your smartphone will eventually be able to tell you if these things are on your car. And
Right.
You could be like, okay, what the hell?
That would,
Hopefully.
and that's right there exactly why I bring these kinds of things up. It's the intrusion countermeasures, and I'm very security minded. I've spent a lot of time being in network security and that kind of jazz. So it's you start thinking about how would I be able to get into this kind of device, or how would I be able to do this, and then you start finding ways of countermeasures. So no, that's a really great point. Let's build the app that can randomly scan the Bluetooth channeling and say, oh, look, this thing is actually here. What is that? Why is that in my car? Or, oh my God, there's 8 of these things attached, and it's like, it can't pair to it. What is this thing?
Or more importantly, like, this one's been here for a long time. Are you sure this is okay?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, speaking of being security-minded, you've talked a little bit about what you do. I don't think I ever got you to give your overall background for the audience. Tell us about yourself.
Wow, that's a very open-ended question. No, I've got a very very wide background of a myriad of different things. Just go back to the beginning. I started in I worked at retail at a photography store, and I went from that into radio, which is kind of an odd transition. And I worked in radio for 3. I know, right? I worked in radio for 3 years, and in the midst of all of that, I worked at a television station doing video and audio production for about a year and a half. And then from that, I went back to college and got a 2-year degree in computer networking, which was really my way of just saying I need some kind of paperwork that proves that I know all the stuff that I already do.
Right.
So I transitioned into that, and then I migrated into networks, telephone systems, and telephone switches, mostly like Asterisk and open source PBXs. A lot of networking, low voltage infrastructure. So I spent a year and a half working for a cabling company in South Florida, and I ran all of the fiber optic Cat 6, Cat 5e for Florida Power and Light. I've worked at what turned into, it was supposed to be an email marketing company, which was really exactly. It's a fluffy way of saying that we're a spam company. And when I got the job there, I didn't really have any idea what they were doing. It was just, they had the right price point, and the company that I worked for had just went bankrupt. So I transitioned from the bankrupt company to a job, and I'm like, oh, goody. They needed somebody who knew phones and networks and, Linux and all that kind of jazz. I'm like, excellent. Yes, I'll take the job. I get in there and I'm like, oh, this is what you're doing? And then it was like, okay, so I started researching into things like the CAN Spam Act of I think it's 2003, and looking at the legal side of this and like, is what we're doing legal? Is there this gray area that we're operating in? And it was right up to the point where one of our sales guys had this national contract with a food retail, as they call them retail. It's like a fast food joint.
Yeah.
That they were going to send out like coupons across the nation for this, buy one get one free sandwich kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they got all the way to the point where they're ready to sign on this multi-million-dollar deal, and they asked the question of, can you guys prove that you guys are double opt-in and that kind of jazz? And it was they couldn't. So they just kind of started ignoring the conversation, and I'm like, oh, well, so we are doing something a little shady. At which point I was like, I'm out of here. And I literally quit that job, and that's when Logan and I like trekked across the country.
So that leads us up to Tech Syndicate, but I've actually gotten this question a few times. What is your role at Tech Syndicate?
When Logan and I started this, he and I had this long conversation about how to present a lot of this material, things that we were doing, places to do it, what kind of environment that we have. And I started with him with a background in radio and broadcasting and a background in television and broadcasting, my background in network and systems, and just in general a computer nerd. So I am very similar to him in the presentation. He does this full time. I'm very part time. I've got a day job where I sit in my crazy office and fix phones and networks all day. But
best day
primarily
job ever.
Right.
Or
My main role with Tech Syndicate is I'm effectively talent. I am QAIN. This is what I do. I have this background. I bring to the table a very different aspect of nerdism, if you will, and my networking background and my system background, and I bring an enterprise grade perspective to the table. Where Logan is like the entertainer, and he is the nerd at heart. And he knows all of this cool stuff, and he's from a consumer level. He comes from a very consumer level, I'd say consumer, more like a prosumer. He's got a very strong opinion, and because of his background and where he comes from, he's got access to all of that, all of the stuff that we got, all of the stuff that we do. Where Wendell, he comes from more of a programming background, so he has a programming background. He's also very well versed in a lot of different topics. I come from a different aspect and a different angle of the exact same technology that we're all using. So like I said, I come from security background. So when you guys are talking about, again, the cat and tracking your cat when it gets lost for 4 weeks, which is very devastating and a very consumer driven concept.
Yes.
I look at it from a security standpoint, and I'm like, okay, what if we find your cat and we tag your cat and then we track your cat back to your house because we don't know where you live for whatever reason we found your cat? That kind of thing. I mean, I look at the world from a very security-minded kind of perspective. So when we started this, we started with the DDWRT demonstration. That was something that I know how to do. I'm like the crazy networking and software hacker type that I know how to manipulate and modify and build this crazy stuff. So that's kind of where I come from, and that's why I'm with this. And then when we started the website and the website started getting bigger, I started interacting with our members a lot more. So I started interacting with them a lot more than he was, mainly because it was just what I was doing and where I was spending my time. Where he and I were making videos, I would then he would be like researching what the next video was going to be. Yeah. I would be talking to the members about the current videos and other things that were going on, and I just keep up kind of a public relations, so to speak.
Community management.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except I don't specifically manage the community. I just show up with like this iron fist and be like, I mean, when we first started it was kind of funny because we would have topics that we had moderators on the website that would they would monitor and moderate your topics. The topics would get a little out of hand. I would step in. I would lay down factual law, and then everybody would be like, oh, and then we just kind of end the conversation, which always annoyed me because I'm like looking for some intelligent discourse, and I would direct it back to an intelligent discourse, and then everybody would be like, oh, QAIN has spoken. I'm like, oh, you're not going to challenge me? I mean, come on, I'm for the conversation, but no, it would never happen. It was kind of annoying. It's fun, but maybe that's what I do. I don't know. I just figure that we're part of the Tech Syndicate family, so to speak.
The Tech Syndicate family. Linus Media Group doesn't have a family so much. Are
No,
we friends?
well,
No,
No.
our company
No.
name's stupid.
Our company name is stupid. It's
No
true.
one will understand this.
that's
Okay, so show highlights wise, was there anything else for you that really stood out that you saw that got you really excited? I mean, I know you love the Pebble. Did you have a chance to check out the Qualcomm talk?
I did not actually. I bumped into like 8 people who had the gear, the Galaxy Gear, and I had
Yeah.
nice conversations about that. And the end of my conversations were usually like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Not because I didn't particularly like what they had to say, but it was how they were presenting their device, and it was like, never mind. But it was the gear was very cool. I'm actually kind of excited about it. I just don't want to spend the $500 on it.
Yeah, the gear, the thing for me is expensive, and battery life is the future to me. I mean, that's the only reason that I care about Pebble at all, is the fact that I can get about 4 days out of it before I have to recharge. And the talk from Qualcomm is actually similar in that it is able to. They're quoting 7 days in much the same way Pebble does, but I suspect I won't get 7 days out of it just because I'm a bit of a heavy user notification-wise. But the fact that it has a color display, the fact that it has a touchscreen and other touch points on the watch strap itself, and then the fact that it is just super easy to read, and it's responsive when you're using it. I don't know. I find that extremely excited. I hope that we have a review sample coming. Otherwise, I'll just buy one, and we'll have a review coming. Do you feel the need to upgrade your Pebble? Because there is the Pebble Steel.
I looked at the Pebble Steel, and I'm like, I'm not so much in it, but I like it. It looks very flashy, but I like the lightweight watch. And it would be a little bit heavier on my wrist, and I'd rather not have the extra weight. But we were talking about the Qualcomm there. That actually sounds like something I'd be interested in looking at. There's a few drawbacks that I have of the Pebble that kind of get to me, but they're mostly just the functionality of like I can't answer my phone call, but I can see who's there, and I can mute the buzz on my wrist, but I can't actually answer it. But if I had a Bluetooth headset, I could just hit the button on my Bluetooth as opposed to hitting, the button on the watch.
But it comes down to how wired up you want to be.
Yeah, and I think my usual statement in relation to like the Pebble versus like the Gear is that the Pebble is a wristwatch that communicates with your phone, that receives notifications. The Gear is an extension of your phone that has a watch face.
Yes, that is
Because
probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, they're all very fancy, but I mean, I look, I'm in New York, so I'm on the subway all the time, and you go above ground, below ground, and I don't want to have to pull my phone out of my pocket all the time, because in and out of the pocket is just a pain in the butt. So, getting the notifications on my wrist, I'm like, not important, not important. Oh, that one's important. Oh, not important. That kind of jazz is always nice to have. And the fact that I can control like my music, or just track forward, track back, or I can I've actually got Audible right now, so I can control the play and stop, play and pause on the Audible track. So if I'm actually listening to a book, I can just pause it with the watch, which is pretty awesome.
Yep, totally agreed. It's funny, someone in the Twitch chat seems to think that you're beating around the bush, trying not to, sound like you don't like the Pebble because I might be offended or something. Guys, QAIN is the reason I bought a Pebble. He was like, we were at, whatever that show was, PAX. And QAIN was like, hey, look at my Pebble. And I'm like, oh.
I just got it too, and that's where it was really funny, because I'm running around with Logan, and I was sitting down at dinner with Logan and a friend of mine, and every 10 minutes my watch was just buzzing nonstop, and I'm like, okay, this is really annoying. And I look at my watch, and then my buddy was like, dude, are you going somewhere? You
I know.
late for something? I'm like, no, it's text messages. I'm gonna shut it off. I actually took it off and put it in my pocket. I'm like, it's driving me nuts. And that's when you you said you're a heavy user. I've got several email accounts and several text message, text SMS and GChat coming into this.
Yep.
And I actually had to tune down. I'm like, which ones are email accounts that I don't want to get the notifications of because I check it often enough. And then I've got a couple that I'm like, okay, this one's I get less email, so I'd rather have the notification than an email showed up into that. And even that one's getting too busy now, so I'm tempted to shut that one off. So No, I do. I love my Pebble. I think it's great.
All right.
I'm
Well,
just-
I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just bitter that my coworker told me about the Pebble literally 5 minutes after the Kickstarter ended, and I'm like, you didn't tell me this 10 minutes ago when I could have got in on that. So I had to wait an extra 2 months while he's running around going, hey, look at this, and I'm like, but it's good times.
All right. Well, I think we're at the end of the guest segment. QAIN, thank you so much for joining us. If you don't mind, just kind of tell folks where to find you. Tell them, how they can follow the Tech Syndicate family, so to speak, and maybe can you give us a teaser in terms of what they can expect to find in terms of an upcoming topic that you've been working on? Maybe.
Well, I've been let's just work backwards on that. I've been looking at building a new PFSense router, and again with the Linksys router coming out, and a few other devices that I'm looking at building. So I've got a couple of how-to kind of builds, and less. Well, I guess they're less on how-to and more like this is a project that I'm working on that's kind of insane and out the window, and this is what it is. So I've got a couple of those that I'm working on that'll be probably ready to go in the next month or two, maybe 3, depending on financing. Otherwise, you can find us techsyndicate.com. I stream on Twitch as often as I can, so I'm streaming on Twitch almost every night, and you can find me Twitch Deus QAIN, DEUS QAIN, QAIN on Twitch. Yeah. Otherwise, I gotta go watch the tech. The tech should be out sometime soon.
All right. Take care, man. Thanks so much for joining us on the show.
All right. Thanks a lot for having me, guys.
See ya.
All right, so thank you very much to QAIN for joining us. Guys, I'm going to take this opportunity to do our sponsor break. I might have screwed something up. Okay, we're going to put like a mouse pointer there because...
I don't think they're going to see that.
Oh, right. Yeah, they won't see that. Okay, well...
And that's covering the wrong one.
Well, whatever. Anyway, the point is, guys, our show today is brought to you by Squarespace, the easy way to create your very own custom website and have them take care of the hosting for you. If you buy a year's worth of membership, then they'll actually cover the cost of the domain for you. Plus, if you use offer code Linus1, not Linus12, offer code Linus1 because it's January. If you use offer code Linus1, then you will save 10% off of your Squarespace, off your first Squarespace purchase. So Squarespace is a great way to build up a blog, to build up a portfolio, to build up a store. They've actually got about, I think it's over 20 templates now, and you just kind of go in, you sign up. They have a free trial, so there's no commitment whatsoever. You just go and try the trial, start tinkering around with it, and they have tools that allow you to pick a template that's optimized for the type of site that you're trying to build. Then once you get that, you can go around and play around with things, whether it's while you're sort of previewing it live or whether you're just kind of, adding items to a store or whatever else. And then what they do is they take that and turn it into something that looks great on a desktop, notebook, tablet, phone, or whatever else the case may be. It's all dynamic, it's very easy to use, and you don't have to worry about pesky little things like, oh, is my hosting plan good enough? We've done this test a lot of times in the past, but we switched LinusMediaGroup.com over from a WordPress blog to a Squarespace site. It took a fraction of the time that it took to build the WordPress site. It is much more robust. Everyone can hit it at the same time, and it will not go down. I think we managed to make it stutter once, but then it was back up and snappy again. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just super easy to maintain, super inexpensive, and well, I went and navigated away from it, but there you go, guys. Look at that. There's like a thing about the WAN show on there. That makes sense. It is our website.
It does.
I don't visit our website that often. But that's
you
good.
don't even know what's on it?
Well, sort of. I mean, I looked at it at one point, but I don't have to go there that often. I mean, I know what we do.
Yeah, but if we add something, if we start doing something new, would you remember to put it on there?
Probably not.
Yeah.
But because of Squarespace, it would be easy. So one more time, guys, that's squarespace.com. The offer code is Linus1 if you want to try building your own website. Of course, there's a trial, so you don't have to commit to paying anything up front. And just please, if you do get Squarespace, don't forget to use our offer code, because if nobody ever used our offer code, then we'd be sad. And Squarespace might not sponsor the show anymore, even though I'm sure that they would still love to sponsor the show because WAN Show's awesome. Speaking of awesome, this is freaking awesome. This was posted on the forum by Funkstar, not Funkstar's mod. To be clear, it's like right there. It's like in bold. So the actual mod was found on Tony Mac X86, and check this out. Yes, a trash can based Mac Pro. Yes, a PC based system inside. So it's you can tell from the I/O shield it's going to be a gigabyte motherboard. Also, they're using a PCI Express extension in order to put a discrete graphics card in it. Apple's innovative single fan at the top of the system pulls air through the entire system. Looks like it wasn't that difficult to replicate by putting a fan
At the top of the system.
at the top of the system.
Making it pull air through the system.
Making it pull air through the system. Yes, thank you, Luke, for the color commentary there. Here's our motherboard. Here's our CPU. It uses a Core i3 processor. Check that out. So it's mounted on the bottom piece there. There was one piece that was custom fabricated. I believe it's... there's the graphics card. There it is, actually installed. This thing is so awesome. I love it. Here it is, top down.
He ends up making it look really sharp, too.
Yeah. So SSD and hard drive. In fact, what kind of hard drive is that? It's a Fujitsu 120 gigs. So it looks like truly a ghetto mod. Like, find an old hard drive and put it in there, because that SSD is probably 120 gigs or bigger. Here, this gives you a better look at how it's constructed inside. Not even sure if that's like the most safe, like, you know, grounded, friendly way to mount that in there. But the point is that it works. There it is. It's starting to get finished now.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not.
Red on the outside. This is a custom fabricated piece to make it look more like the Mac Pro. And right there, guys. The red trash can Mac Pro. The world's first true trash can PC. I absolutely love this mod. I think it's fantastic. Yes, it is a genuine Hackintosh. And there it is. Now, this got me thinking. You know, it actually reminds me of a video that they did on Tech Syndicate. So for those of you who missed him, QAIN was here. So make sure you check out the archive to watch the guest segment. But it reminds me of a video Tech Syndicate did called "Has Apple Ever Really Invented Anything?" And I wanted to find out, has the trash can PC ever been done before? The answer from geekygadgets.com is yes. So that's an Intel Pentium D installed in a trash can. Waste paper basket. They went and they put a honeycomb mesh over the top of it, and you can actually see the I/O was cut into the side, and the power supply kind of sticks out of the side. So okay, maybe Apple did it more elegantly than this particular modder
But
with
it was
a
already done.
Pentium D. But the trash can PC has indeed been done before. Simpsons did. Well, no, the Simpsons didn't do it, but someone did it. Someone who's kind of done everything. The PC did it. All right. So let's move into Steam Developer Days. I think you've been paying closer attention to this than I necessarily have, but why don't we start with the Steam controller changes?
The problems
Go.
with Steam Developer Days right now is there's still news leaking about it.
Yes.
So, like, you should still be checking into this kind of stuff.
User
Yes.
disconnected
And,
from
like,
your channel.
even stuff that's already... Yeah, there's still a lot of news coming. And Gabe Newell's AMA, I do not believe has happened yet.
Is that going to happen? Did the donation?
I went to the website. There's no, like, as far as I could find, there's no, like, this is what dollar amount we're at. So
Huh.
I have no idea how to tell. And I asked if anyone could find his AMA, and I couldn't find his AMA, so, like, I don't think it's happened yet.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure if Gabe Newell says there's going to be an AMA at $500,000, there will be an AMA because it will hit $500,000.
Yeah, so Gabe Newell asked for a $500,000 donation target for, I think it was it a heart thing? Shoot, I can't remember.
It's like a charity campaign that revolves around a racing thing, and I think it has to do with like children's.
Here we go. The Heart of Racing. Okay, so took to the website to promote Heart of Racing, etc., etc.
See, there's no like we are at this amount. As far as I
Yeah,
could
they don't
find.
have a target. Brand new look. Seattle Children's Hospital, winning races and winning for the kids. Welcome to the Heart of Racing, Performance Racing School. Raising money for pediatric cardiac care. So there you go, guys. I can't think of a more worthy cause.
Yeah.
But of course, that's what we expect from our Lord and Savior Gabe N, to come up with the worthiest possible cause and then give us the best possible reward for achieving it, which would be an AMA with Gabe N.
Which there will be endless amounts of Half-Life 3 questions. You know, he tried. He has a car in this race, and he wanted to pick the number for the car, and he asked for 3.
Ah.
They said no. So it's not 3. Just like, really? And he was like, yeah, they said nope. So it's like, I thought that was absolutely hilarious.
That's fantastic.
So the Steam controller, there was a touchpad in the middle, and there
Yes.
was the ABXY buttons around it and stuff. The touchpad in the middle and all that kind of stuff is gone. There's just kind of a blank spot there now. But
And the
remember
touchpad
this...
was going to be a screen
yes
at some point, but
Yeah.
that's just here. You guys can see. Gone. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so that's gone completely. Remember, this is a mock-up, so things could slightly change, positioning could change, stuff like that. It's a mock-up.
Yep.
But that's gone, and now there's 2 kind of D-pad style-y things, they say in the video, but to me it just looks like 2 sets of ABXY buttons.
That's what it looks like to me too. I
Yeah.
mean, this is being called a D-pad right here, but that
It's like it's 4 circular. It just looks like ABXY buttons to me. Like, I'm sure you could program them to do whatever you want because it's a very customizable
Yes.
controller.
and
in the
it's
way of
symmetrical, so
Yeah.
you could go left-handed D-pad if you wanted, in
Yeah.
all likelihood.
which is cool for people that are left-handed. But yeah, I think they're gonna just be ABXY buttons or D-pads, however the heck you want to run it. I don't think they're specifically one or the other.
One thing's for sure is that this controller is still very much in flux, and the version that I got to be hands-on with, I actually got to, I don't know if I told you this, but I got to feel the haptic feedback. They let me use it.
Yeah. That's actually
The
about it.
version that I was using makes me glad that they are still working on it, because it did not feel like something that I could
Like
actually...
that godly haptic feedback that they've been claiming for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, the demo where the Valve, presumably dev, or where the Valve employee is playing Portal with the Steam controller is very impressive and very cool, but it's kind of like when game devs do like versus pro teams or versus whatever, and it's like, oh, no, you guys actually designed this thing, so... yeah, you can probably use it. And it's not that impressive anymore that you can do it, but wait until we get it in the hands of the average gamer, and then let's find out how impressive it
I
is.
still, no matter basically how bad it is, because even if it has the haptic feedback of a mediocre haptic feedback phone, it'll still be good for playing games like Civ.
Yeah,
And I'll still
that's
want to
true.
use it more for those kinds of games. So I'm still excited for it because it'll enable me to play more games on my TV using a computer than I was really able to do before.
Yeah.
But I'm still probably going to use a different controller mainly.
Hit us up on Twitter, guys. What controller do you plan to use with your Steam machine? Your hypothetical Steam machine. Let's assume, for the sake of this discussion, that you're going to have a Steam machine, so that's a Linux-based console hooked up to your TV. What controller will you use? Because I'm leaning towards wireless Xbox 360.
Yep.
I already have the dongle. I already have at least 2 controllers. Although, you know what's funny is I had kind of an amusing moment last night where my wife was like, you know what? We haven't played a game in forever. And I was like, you want a game? And she was like, yeah, sure. You know, we could play some TF2 or something. I'm like, we're kind of in bed. And she's like, okay, maybe not TF2 then. But like, okay, so I pull up my laptop and I fire up my Steam library and I'm like, what local 2-player games are there
I
on
have
Steam?
this problem so much, and I go to like Co-Optimus, and I go to all these other kind
Yeah.
of things, and it's just like, but not much.
There's really not much. There's like there's 2D side scroller action games that have a co-op mode, but I'm not sure how many of them it's really baked in and how many it's like an afterthought.
Guacamelee, it's actually quite good.
Guacamelee. Okay, but that's the problem. And you know what? You can browse the Steam store by Linux compatibility, you can browse by controller compatibility, but there isn't really like hey, this game is like a great party game.
I have this many friends at my house. Tell me what to play.
That would be awesome. Gay Ben, if you're watching, can you please deliver that to us? Thank you, Gabe.
I love how it's deliver
Gabe.
that to us.
Specific,
Deliver.
a specific Gabe, not just Gabe. Gabe N. There's only one Gabe N. Speaking of Gabe N, there's a couple quotes. So one of them was, we're trying to make SteamOS, or not sick, whatever that thing. Okay,
Whatever
we're
it's
trying to
called.
make SteamOS as open as possible. If EA wants to put Origin on it, that would be fine, etc. So, you know, he was trying to pick an example, I guess, of something that people might think that Valve would not want on the platform. That's extremely exciting. That, to me, is a huge part of the future of SteamOS.
I'm also not super surprised. It's Debian. What are they going to do?
Yeah, I guess they couldn't really stop it.
I'm sure they could in like some way, but it's Debian, so someone would have found a way around it.
Do you think EA would find a way to support Linux and not suck all at the same time?
No.
All right
They
then.
might find a way to support Linux so they can get more sales. The not sucking part, though, that's asking a lot.
Steam Dev Days
So there's
was
some...
a non-press event, to be clear.
Yeah.
No press were allowed. But that didn't prevent a lot of the... I think there's something like 1,200 developers there.
That's
Yeah.
a lot, yeah.
Yeah, 1,200 developers. It didn't prevent any of them from, like, tweeting all kinds of awesome stuff. So there was a lot about microtransactions and how the systems that Valve has built are not designed to make players unhappy. You know, the whole pay-to-win concept is not an issue when people are buying hats and designing hats. And speaking of designing, Valve paid out $10 million, I think it was this year alone, to folks who developed maps and hats and content for their games. And Valve's kind of going, well, yeah, it's great for us because it costs a fraction of what it would cost to maintain a complete separate staff on our side.
And they're still skimming off of it.
They're still
making money.
skimming. And the level of creativity that you can access by having such a large, wide, diverse team of people developing for your games is great. And
So it was $10,215,796 over 2,349 items built by 661 creators. And that was just for Team Fortress 2.
I think that works out to an average of something ridiculous,
Yeah.
like 20,000 per creator. Meaning that for everyone who created one thing that sold, 10, there's someone that's doing pretty darn well just crafting Steam items. That's awesome.
That's really cool, actually.
Really awesome.
You could legitimately make really good money. Like if you say you're a high school kid who was like really good at art,
Yep.
you could just make some really cool stuff and end up not having to get like that summer job. You could just play TF2.
That's very cool. There's another quote here. Over 90% of the items in TF2 are made by the community, which is amazing. They
That's
talked
really
about
cool.
the compendium with Dota 2 and the International, how they were able to let the community dictate how the, how big the purse was, if nothing else.
Yeah, you buy tickets and then it
Yep.
splits it with the people that are in the thing, which makes people want to buy tickets to an online event.
And it makes people want to play. Because it's not just this one team will win. You can support whoever you want. Linus Media Group could potentially, train up and have a team. And if we found folks to, buy tickets for us, then
if we found folks to like play for us.
yeah. And if we found folks to play for us,
Not only do we not have enough people. Oh, if Yvonne played, we'd have enough
we
people.
could start an esports team. Why not?
If Yvonne played, we'd have enough people.
Yeah.
For like most of.
We'd have to recruit much better people.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
Because we're not. That's not going to work.
So
Not that good. So you need to. There's a bunch more stuff, but one of the things you have to do is go to the bottom actually and click read next page.
Yeah, I already did that.
Which just loads in there.
Valve has no plans to release their own virtual reality hardware, but are saying that could change.
And there's been leaky stuff that I found. I'm not sure exactly. I haven't been able to confirm it a million times, but I've seen stuff that apparently Valve might be releasing all of their VR tech to Oculus.
Which would be really cool. There is VR tech within Crystal Cove. That's what it's called, right? Within Oculus's Crystal Cove prototype. So they are working together. But they're basically saying we're 2 years away from, like, a great VR experience. But with that said, the head tracking HD prototype that I tried at the Intel booth was, like, bleeping awesome.
And that's not the newest one.
And that's not Crystal Cove. That's not even the best one.
Yeah.
So there's a lot left to be done. They figure up to 100 times resolution will continue to help. So, yeah. We got to get rid of the cord. The optics need to be better. The head tracking needs to be better. Everything needs to be better. But this is so exciting. One of the things that really came out of it that I thought was disappointing was Valve coming out and saying, and Oculus coming out and saying, look, this isn't something you're just going to be porting into games.
It's true though.
It's totally true, but it's disappointing. I mean, how excited were you at the prospect of playing Skyrim
Yeah.
in like with VR?
Yeah.
That's
And
not
like
a thing.
you kind of can though. People have gotten it working, but it's super ghetto and it doesn't
Yes.
really work that well, and there's problems with it and stuff like that. And it's something you have to accept. There's really cool stuff coming out though. One thing that I've been looking into lately is someone made a bird demo thing. So it's you can fly around this mountain range, which looks real.
Yeah.
Like completely, the graphics are so good. It might be just recorded footage. I'm not sure.
Right.
Because I haven't been able to actually experience it. I've just seen a YouTube video of it, so I haven't really been able to see it in that high quality, or running on my own computer. So I'm not exactly sure. But then they just put like fake eagle wings on the side, and you just control where you fly by looking.
Cool.
It's like super sweet, but it was made for that, so it's awesome. And then stuff like this, which they're showing right here, which is how.
Yeah. Hold on. They can't see it. I'm working on it. Oh my god! I think I went away from. Anyway, okay, fine. Just say it.
Yeah. They don't really need to see it. Palmer from Oculus, the like lead guy, is saying that he wants to see stuff like Hearthstone VR, FIFA VR, and Sims VR. And when I read that, I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. And then I sat there and thought about it for a while, and I was like, wow, I really want those in VR experiences.
FIFA VR would be amazing.
VR would be
sports
epic.
games will never be the same. I mean, to me, sports games have been seriously stunted by the camera.
Yeah.
The experience is destroyed by the camera.
You gotta be in the shell.
You gotta be on the field. That is the future. And they've been stunted by two things. Number one is the lack of proper team against team multiplayer locally even. Like the fact that it's like, okay, well, you can have this number of controllers. It's like, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Whereas if you could build an entire soccer team of people
and like
at a LAN,
have them all, that would be really
and
cool.
have them all on the field with literally, like, virtually zero latency, and like actually play the game. Even if you're stuck with a controller. If you can, like, look around and see the pass and kind of go, okay, I mean, it's not going to be perfect. We're not there yet. But if you could kind of, like, look up and go, like, angle, header, stuff like that. Ah, how amazing is that going to be?
That would be really cool. And then, like, even just Hearthstone VR. You can just chill and it'll feel like you're actually playing a card game. And like how they lay out the board for Hearthstone, how there's all the interactive stuff around it, would make it actually really cool.
Think you could cheat with like head tracking?
Oh!
that could add a whole new level to like online card games. It's like keeping your cards away from the other. So you actually have to manage your controller. You could play in cheat-enabled servers or something, and like. It could be a game of like who can see each other's cards. Okay, maybe that's stupid. But
that'd be pretty dumb.
Yeah,
but whatever.
Screw you.
It's funny anyways.
All right, so I want to hear what controllers you guys are gonna be using on your Steam machines, and I think that for some reason this is being stupid.
Oh, there you go.
It's still not quite right, is it?
I see what you're talking about.
Good enough. Okay. All right. So something built on tears. I say bleeping awesome, but
oh god.
I don't actually understand.
Can we move on? That was from way earlier.
I know, but I just don't understand. No, I said bleeping awesome about like VR.
Yeah, I know. He's saying you censored that, but then didn't censor the other thing.
What? The word porn isn't a swear word.
No, but it's the context.
Context of what?
I'm not even going to say it because it's terrible.
Valve should add motion control into the Valve controller. I don't think it's precluded that it's not ever going to be there. They could always have a motion control version.
It would be nice if you could like switch it on or off though.
Okay, Dumitru is not impressed with the Steam controller. Just wants to use that Xbox 360 controller. Keyboard and mouse for Delons. I always have trouble with that. Xbox controller. Don't like touchpads. Haven't held it yet though, so opinion could change. Fair enough. Yep. Ashley figures need to try the Steam controller to decide. I play a lot of Civ 5 though. So there you go.
And that's like specifically one of the games that I think would be really good for it.
Yeah. Alan figures Xbox One if possible, but otherwise Xbox 360 probably would prefer a DualShock. Yep. Okay. Use Xbox 360. Will we at some point start to forget standalone GPUs due to APUs? We're a long way away from that, at least on the desktop. Desktop's not going anywhere for a bit. Ooh. Portal 2 is a 2-player local game. Yeah, that's true. But Portal 2 gives her motion sickness. Like going through portals makes her nauseated. So, like, I'm just saying there aren't many options. There's no like poi poi. Where it's just like here's like a goofy little like party game style thing, and that's something that we're gonna have to see happen on Steam for it to become a console. And actually, it's funny, that leads into one of the other things that came out of Dev Days, which was that Valve has no intentions of creating their own killer app for SteamOS. Like, Half-Life 3, only on SteamOS, is not going to happen. They want their games across platforms, and they will encourage even developers that are making games for SteamOS to make their games available on as many platforms as possible. But what they're also saying is that there could be exclusives, and that seemed like, a hint.
Linus just essentially announced Half-Life 3 confirmed, all platforms.
All platforms, yeah, exactly. It's like Gabe Ben will be joining us on the stream next week to,
To announce Half-Life 3 on the WAN show.
we're actually not worthy, so yeah, whatever.
Not so much.
Keyboard and mouse right here, Guitar Hero controller. Okay, Curtis, to play Hearthstone. Okay, there's no reason you couldn't.
Yeah, there is.
Why not?
How would you select cards?
There's got to be a
Unless
way
you,
to like, yeah, you
Unless
could
you
use
strummed and then
yeah.
like pressed A to select it.
Oh, there's got to be a way to do it. There's got to be a way to because
I played Gears of War with the
yeah.
Guitar
So
Hero.
it's basically an Xbox 360 controller. So you
Did I ever tell you about that? I used whammy bar to turn, but then I could only turn in one direction. So if someone was like just outside my aimer on one side, I had to do a full turnaround. I made it through the first mission though.
it's like how to create an FPS controller that's actually worse than the Wiimote. Keyboard, mouse, PS3 or 4. Love the DualShock. 360, 6-axis, 360, 360, 360, 360. Controller that wow, what happened to it? Controller that I use for everything, which is Xbox. Okay.
Looks like a lot of Xbox 360 controller.
Looks
which
like a
is
lot of Xbox
kinda what I
360
expected.
controller. I kind of love the Xbox 360
too.
controller. It's sort of awesome.
So there's more stuff actually. If we jump to Dev got to try Valve VR.
Ah, yes.
So this is a little bit like
So this was on Reddit.
yeah, and it's a little bit like, oh my god, it was so awesome. I almost jumped when I saw something and stuff instead of like actually explaining what it was more about. So it's still an interesting read, and I suggest you go read it, but I don't think we're going to read through the whole thing right here.
Nope.
Because it is a lot of, like, he talks about his experience with it, but doesn't really talk about it too much specifically. And I did find it really interesting, and I love the Oculus subreddit and stuff like that, but unless you're interested in reading people's, like, oh my god, it was cool stories.
Some people are into that. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
that's
know.
basically
I
all
read
I
the
said
whole
about
thing.
it after I was done.
I read the whole thing and I enjoyed it. I'm just saying, like, don't go there with the intentions of like it has this resolution and this is how it sits on your
Right.
head and blah blah blah. Like it's not like tech specs and stuff. It's more of a dialogue of how his experience went, and it sounds really freaking cool. So if you're into that kind of stuff, I'd definitely go read it.
I'm so buying an Oculus Rift.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like when they're released though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy a developer
Have you
edition.
tried mine?
No.
Yeah,
I've
okay.
tried the developer edition, though. I tried it back at the Virtuix thing.
Before we do our video,
Yeah.
you should try mine so that you can compare it to the new one.
Sure. Yeah, I will. I wasn't planning to be in that video. I was just going to let you do it.
Okay, that's
So,
fine then.
Yeah. But, oh, man. The one at CES?
But you guys got to try it with Valkyrie, right?
Yeah.
Or EVR,
Yeah.
EVR Valkyrie, or
Whatever
whatever
they
it's
call
called.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I think is not necessarily a fair comparison unless you tried EVR on both of them, because the pixel grid isn't as noticeable on a black background. And with Valkyrie, you're in space, so the background is usually black.
I don't care, because the only game I'm going to be playing is Star Citizen anyway. So.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm just saying.
Fine,
Yeah,
fine.
because like I tried the 1080p prototype
Yeah.
at the AMD booth, not black background.
Right.
Could still see pixel grid and
Oh,
stuff.
I'm sure you
It
can.
was better.
No doubt.
Yeah, it was definitely better, but it wasn't like if someone was like,
Yeah.
"Yes, I want to buy my VR experience and I want it to be perfect now." It's
No, I
not
mean,
the 1080p.
Carmack said 4K is basically necessary.
Yeah.
And that was at NVIDIA's G-Sync event.
Yep. I'm just trying to like
Yeah, oh, yeah.
reaffirm what he said.
I'm still buying one, though.
Yeah.
Definitely
Well,
buying
I'm hoping that the release one will be more than 1080p because they have not said what the resolution is on Crystal Cove.
If they could make it to 1440p,
1440p would be great. There's been, of course, no one knows, but there's been like whisper rumors about Crystal Cove being 2560.
that's 1440p.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Just
Yeah.
so we're on the same page.
Yeah. It's just I'm like pretty stoked because why would it if they're refusing to say anything about it? Like if it was 1080p, you'd think they'd be just like, yeah, we just implemented the new stuff that you can see, obviously, which is
Yeah.
the whole Crystal Cove idea, instead of resolution. But they're like, no, don't talk about resolution. So I hope.
I hope too.
Yeah, what's next?
I have a really important piece of news next. This was posted on the forum by Cosmos i7. The Mac Pro can be used sideways. I did tweet about this, or I posted it on Facebook, I think. I'm actually getting a little bit more active on Facebook, so if you guys are looking for more exclusive stuff, you can follow at Linus, or not follow at Linus. You can like the Linus Tech Tips page, or is it Linus Tech? I don't even know. See, I hardly used Facebook at all. It was a miracle to me that anyone even liked me on there, because I posted no exclusive content there. But anyway, I have started doing that, and I made a PSA about how you can... Apple has said it is okay to lay them horizontally, but it is not okay to stack them. Because the exhaust from one will go into the bottom of the other one. You know what? I finally saw one in person. It is quiet. However,
I saw one in person too.
I still haven't encountered one that is legitimately under load in person.
It's so shiny.
It's really shiny.
It's like a mirrored garbage can.
It's kind of beautiful.
I'm not a huge fan of gloss.
But it's gloss metal.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's not
I
glossy
see the
plastic.
problem with when I saw it, and when I saw it, I knew I couldn't really say a lot about how it looked because the room had so many crazy colored lights on that it was glowing purple. And I was like, "Okay, this is not really what it's gonna look like most of the time."
It's like for anyone who's planning to use their Mac Pro in a disco.
Yeah. So there's a few other things. They also said that if you're gonna have it like that, you have to like support it with something, like wedge it somehow so that it's not gonna roll around.
The kinds of things that you shouldn't have to tell people, but you know, whatever.
But like, why did they release a thing saying you could use it horizontally anyways? Just like, who cares? Why? I don't. Are you gonna make like a shelf of these things and put them all horizontally instead of standing them up? Like, are you gonna stack them like wine bottles, or what exactly is?
Inquiring minds wanted to know. So there you go.
Inquiring minds are weird.
So let's talk about Tegra K1. This is actually really exciting. I got the opportunity. Did you see it running?
No, and this was one of your email ones, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Holy balls, which is we're gonna have to, when we finally open up a t-shirt store, which I might have made some progress on.
Holy balls.
Yeah, we need a Holy Balls t-shirt because this thing is unbelievable. So it's using Cortex A15 cores for now. So the usual 4 plus 1 low power 1 configuration. And it has 192 Kepler-based CUDA cores. So, I mean, NVIDIA, they dramatize the whole, well, it's the same technology as the Titan supercomputer, but in a tablet. And I think they sell that a little bit. But that doesn't change the fact that feature-wise, it actually is the same technology. You will be able to run DirectX 11.2, you will be able to run OpenGL, you will be able to run CUDA, PhysX, all the technologies that exist on a GTX Titan will exist on Tegra K1. And seeing it running was kind of amazing. So there were 2 mobile demos that really blew me away. One was in ASUS's, what was that thing called? It's like the Transformer Duet or something like that, where they were able to run Windows 8 and then with an app switch to Android, and then with an app switch back to Windows 8 on the same system within about 4 seconds. So they actually had Android games running natively on an Intel Core i5.
That's pretty cool.
Which was like stupid. It's like looking around in the game, it's like butter smooth. Doesn't matter.
That's kind of awesome.
So there's that. But that's in like a large sort of thicker tablet form factor. The other mobile thing that got me really excited was seeing Tegra K1 running both mobile games, which ran really smoothly as we'd expect, but running Unreal Engine 4. It was just a room demo, but you could go around in the room and like when they zoomed in on things, you were like, holy crap, the lighting effects that they have running in here, the realistic texture of the laminate floor and the couch, and the fact that the shadows are all soft, the fact that they have this running on a tablet now. They actually had Tegra notes that were like engineering sampled prototype Tegra notes with Tegra K1s inside, which to me means that it's probably like almost pin compatible. Like we're talking about them being able to roll this out pretty quickly once they get finished silicon. So the fact that they had that running on a tablet absolutely blew my mind. Then they did their FaceWorks demo. So for those of you who haven't seen, I think the guy's name is Logan or something like that. But this is NVIDIA's FaceWorks demo, and they had this running on Tegra K1 as well. Blah, 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 blah. They actually showed it at...
Simulating the ocean is hard.
Although like the FaceWorks demos and stuff are all so cool, but I never really see them come out. We did see this kind of stuff in what was it? Something LA.
LA Noir?
Yeah, LA Noir.
Yeah, but the issue is that this is more like a futuristic demo. Like, if you go back and you look at old NVIDIA and ATI demos for that matter, it was a couple generations between when they could make a demo with, like, one character on screen and when they could actually implement it en masse in a game. I mean, even looking at games like Total War series or other games like that where there's hundreds of units on screen at a time, just due to the sheer number of draw calls required, you can't put much detail on those units, although Mantle could change all of that.
Hopefully.
Mantle, actually, we saw the Oxide demo
That
running.
was really cool.
Where they had it running at about 8 times the performance on AMD Mantle technology versus on DirectX. And that was, it was a Mantle optimized demo with hundreds of spaceships and physics-based projectiles and lasers being fired at each other, and very, very bottlenecked by the traditional approach. But it gives us some idea of the potential for the future and lots of units. RTS is going to be reinvented potentially by Mantle.
And a lot of people were saying like, oh, that's an unrealistic situation. It's like, wait till Star Citizen's out.
Exactly.
Because exactly what was happening in that demo is very possible to happen in Star Citizen.
And the thing is that game devs aren't stupid. They're not going to make a game that nothing can run. How are they going to sell the game? So you could go, oh, well, there's no games that need that. Of course not. I mean, listen to game devs talk about technologies like Mantle and G-Sync. What excites them about it? The fact that they can drive the detail levels or the unit counts or whatever else it is higher while still maintaining that 30 frames per second or that 60 frames per second, or in the case of G-Sync, that 45 to whatever, 60-ish frames per second target. That's what's exciting about it. They make the games based on the hardware that they have available to them. So the fact that this technology, this FaceWorks demo, is running smoothly on a Tegra K1 right now just gets me pretty excited.
It's actually pretty cool.
So we're not going to dive into the actual specs of it too much, but just the fact that it was there. I mean, Shield 2 has me extremely stoked. I use my Shield all the time.
He does.
And yeah, aside from an issue that I have with rolling on the buttons and them not having an actuation point that's quite high enough, it's pretty much perfect. But if they could make it even faster, then thumbs up.
But it's the first time they've made that kind of device.
Yes, it was a first attempt. G-Sync coming to a 27-inch 1440p monitor near you in Q2. So this was posted by Dismo on the forum. The original article is from Polygon. The Polygon article isn't actually that detailed, though, so it's nothing really special. It just said that, oh, well, there's going to be stuff from Acer, AOC, Asus, BenQ, Philips, and ViewSonic. It's amazing to me how guys like Samsung and LG are just so aloof to technological changes. They're just like, yeah, TN panels. Well, LG not so much, mostly
LG's
IPS.
IPS like crazy.
But Samsung was content to use TN panels forever, just for the sake, it seems, of not cooperating with anyone on anything. Like, honestly.
LG has been doing IPS like crazy for a while, though.
Yes, they have. I guess I'm thinking back to sort of quite a while ago when IPS was still quite expensive. But it just, the fact that they, well, and that's the thing, is that it's LG's technology.
Yeah.
IPS.
Yeah.
So it's like, use something else. Don't be afraid of using someone else's tech. So I want to use this as an opportunity to talk about G-Sync as well as FreeSync, AMD's free potential in the future competitor to G-Sync. So first up is all the rumors about G-Sync being TN only and 1080p only. Lose them.
We've been saying this for a long time. It's like, where did you get that?
Where did the information come from? We don't know. But it's over now. I have in person seen monitors running non-TN panels and monitors running higher than 1080p resolutions myself. Done conversation. Asus, and this is funny to me, Asus is the only one, even though there are going to be some 27-inch models, BenQ is going to have one, Asus is the only one bringing a 2560 by 1440 monitor to market. It is a TN panel, but as I said in my video from the Asus suite, it's much better looking than most TN panels. Something I think people forget is there's the whole TN stigma, where TN is inherently garbage, and that's all there is to say about it. Let me just see if I can find a
There's-
reference for this.
you can see while you're looking, you can find a TN panel that looks like the most disgusting thing you've seen in your entire life. And right beside that, you can have a separate TN panel that is, you can still tell, but fairly hard to differentiate between that panel and IPS unless you start looking at crazy angles and stuff. Like there's quite a bit of variance there in comparison to IPS, where I find much less variance.
All right, so Super LCD, the type of panel technology that's used in the HTC One, widely regarded as an excellent display, actually is based on TN, or Twisted Pneumatic panel type. So just because something's TN doesn't mean that it's the biggest piece of garbage ever. It just means it's likely that it is. So the Asus monitor doesn't look as good as an IPS. It doesn't look as good as a PLS, but it looks better than most of the TNs that I've seen, which is kind of like what I said about the 2420 Ti from BenQ. So, okay, there's that. And it's so baffling to me that everyone's doing 1080p designs. I mean, I know it's expensive. The Asus one's going to be $799, which is sort of
I don't think it's
disappointing.
that baffling. I don't like it, but it makes sense.
I mean, I know they're costing down, but like...
They're costing down and they're targeting gaming.
But G-Sync is more about making the gameplay experience better at higher resolution with less GPU horsepower.
Yeah, but what are people going to buy more?
Yeah, I know.
The fast 1080p one.
But this one's fast too. It's 2560, 1440, and then they're marketing it as 120 hertz plus. So while no one was looking, you know, I checked, and it runs at 144 hertz. So it's like, I wish everyone was doing that. Anyway, it's going to be expensive. G-Sync seems to be adding anywhere from $100 to like $200 to pricing. I really hope that goes away soon because
probably will.
I want to see this technology become mainstream to the point where there's no reason to buy a monitor that doesn't have G-Sync in it, whether you have an NVIDIA graphics card or an AMD graphics card. And that's not going to happen as long as it's a couple $100 premium in order to get your hands on one. The most exciting thing I think I saw wasn't actually a production model, but it was ASUS's Sharp panel-based 4K monitor with a G-Sync module Frankenstein to the back of it. And it was running, and it was awesome. That is going to be the ideal setup for G-Sync. High resolution, not needing to maintain that 60 frames per second or above exactly, being allowed to dip, and not really feeling that change in smoothness.
I've had a lot of people go like, well, if I built a computer that was good enough, it wouldn't matter. And then I do benchmarks with dual 780 Ti's like I was yesterday and watch games dip. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, come on.
It's
like,
funny how many people on the internet have a GTX 560 Ti that runs every game at full details. Like what, on your watch display? Like what resolution are you running at?
Or what frames are you getting?
Yeah, like what are you actually using to monitor this frame rate that you're supposedly having? All right, let's talk about FreeSync. So G-Sync and FreeSync are sort of tightly intertwined right now. This was an article on Anand Tech where Anand was actually personally shown this demo of AMD displaying a technology that looks very analogous to G-Sync and is actually based on an open VESA standard for controlling V-blank intervals, which is essentially what G-Sync is doing. So you're controlling the amount of time that no signal is causing the display to change its image versus having a fixed refresh rate like 60 hertz. So, okay, etc., etc., etc. They were showing this on 2 off-the-shelf notebooks actually running. So this demo right here is not as elaborate as NVIDIA's. They just have a windmill running, but they showed it actually working. And there wasn't really a whole lot to say about it other than that an AMD doesn't really have any kind of a go-to-market strategy with respect to this. Other than that, they would like to encourage panel makers to implement this technology. Now, the problem is that it's only on notebooks right now. Now, the way that notebook graphics cards interface with notebook panels is actually different from the way that a typical monitor works. So they'll use something like embedded DisplayPort, or they'll use they'll use a non sort of widespread industry standard interface. Like think about something like HDMI. It's supposed to work on a phone. It's supposed to work on a TV, on a receiver, on a graphics card, on an LCD monitor. It's supposed to work on all these different things at all these different resolutions, and it requires complex scalar chips in order to actually interface between whatever signal is coming in and the display itself. It's not native. It's not just driving the panel directly. on these notebooks, that is the kind of technology they're using to enable this, and we just don't have it on desktops. So while it does exist, it's very rare, even on notebooks, and it's implemented as more of a power-saving feature than a gaming feature right now. So NVIDIA has basically flat out said, look, there is no scaler that we're aware of that is designed for actual monitors using actual interfaces on the desktop. We'd be aware of it if there was one. So we would love for the entire industry to move towards this because it's a better gaming experience. In the meantime, we took it upon ourselves to build a chip, to build a scaler that replaces the scaler that was in your monitor and adds this G-Sync or V-Blank or whatever functionality you want to call it, that adds this functionality to these displays. We built it, so we're going to use it, we're going to leverage that, but if there's an open standard in the future, then there's an open standard in the future. That's all there is to it. So there you go, guys. AMD kind of showed this kind of behind closed doors. They didn't show it to everyone. It wasn't part of their presentation. They showed it on a notebook, and I don't think NVIDIA is taking it too seriously right now. A few years from now, I'd love to see it implemented across the board.
This is what AMD does, though.
But this is what AMD does, yes.
So they make something, and they're like, hopefully everyone just does stuff.
Or they don't make it. I mean, they didn't make this.
Yeah, but like...
I mean, the feature's been enabled on their GPUs, but they didn't make it. They just...
Yeah.
And, I mean, there's a couple things. I mean, NVIDIA pushes things forward, whether it's something that doesn't end up mattering to me personally, like 3D vision, or whether it's something that matters to me a lot, like G-Sync. NVIDIA takes the technology, they build a solution around it, and then they deliver it to the market. AMD's implementation of 3D, whether you believe 3D matters or not, for me, not so much, was terrible. It was unusable. We tried to do videos about it. It was unusable.
It was.
Open standard this, open standard that. You know what? Sometimes that's just another way of saying we didn't have the resources or the time or we didn't think it was important enough to develop it. So we're just going to like tack our name on this other thing.
Not always.
Not always. I know.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's just another way of saying we couldn't be arsed to build it. So we just like found this thing that might sort of work and... I don't know, whatever. Because that's what happened.
Yeah,
with their stereo
just saying
3D gaming.
Not always, because like HSA, they kind of...
That's a totally different thing.
I know.
Yep.
But I'm just trying to make sure.
Yep. HSA, they're building the hardware for, and is extremely exciting as well. Things are changing so fast.
Speaking about things changing super fast, Edison. I wanted to do a interview for this actually, but the interview ended up being we got like a pretty awesome developer guy.
Yeah.
But the camera locked up a little bit, and then he ended up dropping Edison on the carpet while we were having our interview and stuff. So that interview is not coming out. But I was super stoked by Edison because I've been really interested in stuff like QB trucks and Arduinos and I think it's called Galileo, Intel's Galileo, and stuff like that. And this is making it so that stuff that people create with those things can be actually turned into very easily marketable devices eventually, because the idea is that you can kind of develop on one of those boards that are easy to mess around with and then port down to an Edison, make a product and sell it, which is actually really cool. So how you control it, it's a dual core Quark processor that runs at 400 megahertz. Supports Bluetooth, low energy, and Wi-Fi on the board. It's x86, which is actually really cool.
That's crazy.
And you can control it by powering it some way. So say you plug it into your computer through SD card slot. You can SSH into it, which is just secure shell. So you open a little, like some program like Putty or something that you can use to SSH into things, and then control it that way, which is actually just really simple.
Yeah, and the applications for this are endless. I mean, one of the examples that was in The Verge's article that I had up on the screen a moment ago was the Mimo baby monitor, which is a onesie that tells you useful information about the baby, and they're talking about, well, you know, you could have it send information to, like this could be Edison powered.
It was there.
Yes.
I saw
so this one was there.
Yeah.
And it could do things like, you know, send notifications to something as innocuous as a coffee mug. Light turns red to tell you that the baby's upset or something like that. It's like, holy crap, this is amazing. I mean, when everything is connected, you know, I mean, smart TVs I think are just like stupid right now. But when your smart TV when the makers actually get their heads out of their butts and figure out that they have to make it integrate with other things as opposed to trying to make the TV the center.
Yeah.
That's the problem right now. Anyway, when they figure out how to give you smart controllable LED indicators on the top of the
There
display.
can be like a flashing red indicator that your baby woke up and is upset.
Yeah, or there could be like a flashing red indicator that your door just got opened. I mean, that is the future. And things like Edison and the Quark processor are going to make that possible. I mean, the Quark processor is an engineering marvel. I mean, we were amazed by the first atom, the low-powered tiny devices that it enabled. Edison, or Quark cores, are 1/5 the size and 1/10 the power of an atom core. Now, performance is not the same, but...
I was actually wondering why you put that in there, because I was like, they're completely different classes of products.
I know they are. Oh, yeah, I know they are. It's just the fact that we have x86 processors in this kind of a power envelope was something that 5 years ago, even 8 years ago, when Pentium D and NetBurst were king, we were kind of... That must have been like 10 years ago. Man, I'm getting old.
Yeah.
Anyway, back when NetBurst was the king, we were kind of sitting here going, oh, x86 isn't scalable. Intel figured it out.
Apparently, it's even when I heard the announcement before I got to the Intel booth, I didn't actually realize. I thought people were like, "Yeah, it's almost the size of an SD card." No, it's actually you can like plug it into an SD card slot.
That's
like
amazing.
It's the same thing, which is insane.
All right, so we're gonna have to start blowing through these. ASUS has a 4K monitor coming for $799. Dell has a 4K monitor coming for $699. They both use TN panels. I have not had an opportunity to see the ASUS one, but I have seen the Dell one, and I can tell you guys it is not a crap TN panel.
Did you see it at CES?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I saw it in like the secret back room where I also saw the Lenovo Y50, and I also saw I saw Dell's 32-inch 4K. Oh. But yeah, that was the notebook with the 4K display.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And oh man, there's and apparently they had put away some of the really cool stuff before I got there.
No.
Like the NDA stuff, and I was
No.
like, you ball sacks.
So next up, are you done?
Yeah.
Next up, we have Nintendo building a new headquarters. So it's going to cost around $204 million US dollars, or 16.5 billion yen. It'll have a 1,500 person capacity, and the reason for this is to bring together their console and handheld teams, which were in separate buildings before. So they're not really saying exactly what they plan to come out of it, but it's not going to be ready for a little while, and they've needed this for a long time.
Well, you look at something like Wii U.
It's like, why does that not work with 3DS?
Yes. And you kind of go, where can Nintendo go with this technology? I mean, Nintendo, there's always this talk about how dead Nintendo is, or how not dead Nintendo. Nintendo is so far away from being down for the count. I mean, they are... This company has a culture of innovation. They have gone from playing cards to being a leader in gaming technology. And sometimes they're not in the lead. But you don't necessarily have to be the first to be a leader. There are plenty of followers.
Yep. And then I'm sure you'll jump all over this.
I ordered one. Actually, I ordered two. So I'm going to be doing an unboxing. I'll be showing you guys both colors. I'll be doing a review. I'm extremely excited for the new Pebble Steel with Corning Gorilla Glass, which I'm a huge fanboy over. It comes with metal and leather straps. It's compatible with all the Pebble apps that you had before, and it has a tricolor LED, $249.99. Is it worth $250 compared to the Qualcomm Talk? Well, I have one of those coming too, so I'll let y'all know.
You say you got both colors?
Yeah, I kind of did.
What do you mean by both colors?
There's a black one and a silver one.
But don't they have interchangeable faces?
Maybe. I don't care.
Oh, they do.
I don't care. Yvonne wants a Pebble anyway.
Okay. I was like, what?
I am so stoked!
So there's a keyboard company that I think it like attaches somehow to an iPhone called Typo
Attaches
Keyboard.
somehow. Okay, why don't I explain this? This was posted by the Point Blank on the forum, and the original article's from CBC.
It's not really the part that matters, and their website.
Come on, CBC. Skip to main content. There we go.
Wow.
Okay, so the way it attaches is it's basically like a phone case that adds a keyboard to the very bottom. So Typo's whole thing is that it frees up this much screen space to look at your screen and your email, and you can have your keyboard off screen. Okay, go ahead.
It looks exactly like a BlackBerry keyboard, all the way down to how the keycaps are shaped. So, BlackBerry was not exactly impressed, and they have a quote saying, "This is a blatant infringement against BlackBerry iconic keyboard, and we will vigorously protect our intellectual property against any company that attempts to copy our unique design. We are flattered by the desire to graft our keyboard onto other smartphones, but will not tolerate such activity without fair compensation for using our intellectual property and our technological innovations." Also known as, "Oh God, we need money. Please give us money."
It does look pretty similar.
It's the same damn thing.
I mean, look at it. If someone just showed me, like, here.
If they cut off the
If
scroll,
I just
yeah.
went like this, what phone is that? Who made it? Right? Like,
Yeah, no, I agree. And like
so here's the BlackBerry Q10. Like,
I'm behind BlackBerry too. They're right.
They're
But
right.
It's kind of funny.
it's
They're
just
probably super stoked that this happened.
yeah, but I don't think these typo guys are gonna have a lot of money anyway. So
No, they'll probably just implode, or they'll start giving bits of their revenue gains to BlackBerry.
T-Mobile's Uncarrier event was amazing. We didn't see it, but
He
we
didn't
heard it
really
was
say
amazing.
anything new though.
Well, he did.
But we all knew this
we all knew it was. Well, we all speculated it was coming.
to 100% pinpoint accuracy.
Yes. Well, come on. The official announcement is still better than the speculation. So this was posted on AnonTech. They had a live blog from the event. But basically, CEO came up and was like, look, you want to switch to T-Mobile, but you're locked into a contract. We'll give you up to $350 per phone line that you change over, up to 5 lines. So we're talking about $1,850 of cash money that they will, like, I think there was an example of, like, it was really snarky. It was a really snarky presentation.
Oh God, yeah.
But it was like, yeah, here's the letter that will, like, write to them on your behalf and the check. Like, they'll send a check to their competitor to take their customer. Wow, you're awesome.
Aggressive. And
Well-
he was did you see the actual live event at all? Did you see any part of it? There was Macklemore music playing as people walked in.
I'd heard about that.
And then he had like a "Why'd you throw me out of the I just wanted to see Macklemore" shirt.
Yeah.
He didn't wear it, but he had a shirt there.
Because AT&T kicked him out of the Macklemore concert. And he was just like, oh, I just want to go.
And he even apparently told the people as they were kicking him out, he's like, "You're just helping me."
Yeah.
It's like by kicking, he's like, "I just want to stay here and listen to music. If you kick me out, it's just going to be worse for you because I'm just going to throw it in your face." And he did.
And he really did.
Really, really did.
And he was pulling up stuff during the event. He was like, you know what? I think it's AT&T that advertises that they have the fastest LTE network in the country. And he's like, well, here's some speed test data. So
Nope.
I'm going to be sending them a cease and desist. They are not going to be allowed to say that anymore because we're faster on average.
Yep. And it was by like a fairly
Yeah,
sizable amount.
it wasn't within margin of error.
No.
So there you go.
They had a really cool video where someone went to Europe or something and was using their smartphone and used like 1,750 megabytes of data and then had like a $70-something thousand bill. And then I don't even know if it actually happened, but then there's video of him like jumping out of a like secure bank truck thing and trying to give them one of those ginormous.
You don't know if that actually happened. I can tell you right now, that didn't actually happen.
No, I'm just.
Oh, okay.
What the hell, man?
I thought you thought that might have actually
No.
happened. I was like,
Okay,
you just went
anyways,
full-
he goes to the AT&T store and is like, "Do you guys accept checks?" And has this like giant, those like giveaway check size things.
Yeah.
He's like trying to give it to them. It's pretty funny. I don't know. That was actually it was actually really interesting. A lot of those things I just kind of drone through it and skip, hoping that I'll find something interesting. But that one was fairly interesting to sit through and watch. So next, SimCity goes offline, which like reading the thing, you can tell all of the relief in this guy's post. Like he's so stoked.
I have wanted to say these words for quite some time.
So my apologies if I didn't take time to say Happy New Year first.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, please God. So they're opening offline, so you can have single player campaigns, and they're opening modding,
Yay.
which are two things that they needed like pretty hardcore.
Two things that SimCity should not have ever existed without.
Yep. So the modding clause is is a little bit more heavy than other modding clauses that I've seen.
Right.
So there's guidelines like you can't make it so the mods are purchased, although if you have it so you have some website or something like that, they're not going to disallow you from having a donate button, but you can't have a donate button within the mod or anything like that.
That is so ass backwards. And that is exactly the kind of thing that Valve at their developer conference is like, yeah, anyone thinking about it not this way isn't basically wrong.
Yep, which I find it hilarious that these news items came out at the same time.
EA.
If you make any of it, it becomes EA's property. They're able to advertise it and blast it out in any way they want. They can use your name anywhere on it that they want.
That's kind of okay.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying like the major points.
Yeah.
These aren't necessarily bad.
Some of them are.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's about it. There's more, but those are the main ones that I pulled out of it. So if you go to his blog and check it out, you'll be able to see the mod agreement thing.
All right, so this has just gone on long enough in my mind.
Hilarious.
Alex Goes High posted on the forum. The original article is from The Verge. QAIN, so if you guys recall, this is the cryptocurrency called QAIN. Oh, okay, the cryptocurrency formerly known as QAIN West. Responds to the Kanye complaint saying the currency has nothing to do with him and is based on a half-man, half-fish hybrid, which is, of course, a reference to the South Park episode where Kanye likes fish sticks, which, if you say it fast enough, sounds like fish dicks, which makes him a gay fish or whatever. And you know what? I didn't think it was a particularly funny episode. Like, I thought the joke was kind of stupid. But maybe that was the point. And then Kanye gets all upset in the episode. Anyway, so they fired back saying, so they've sent their own cease and desist. And they've basically said, okay, something, something, something. The version of the Kanye West superimposed on the back of a gold coin. So they have changed it. They've changed the branding.
And their cease and desist is basically like telling them that they can no longer claim that they have anything to do with the coin because that's hurting them, not the other way around.
As you can tell from our new community-submitted updated materials, we make no visual or verbal reference to Kanye West, but to a half-man, half-fish hybrid who is wearing sunglasses. Again, totally separate from any resemblance to your client.
No further communication through private email addresses shall be made in any strong-armed attempt to blah 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 blah. Like they're basically saying like you have to stop trying to stop us.
And this is like the best publicity ever for what would have otherwise been a completely unexceptional cryptocurrency.
And no one would have cared.
No one would have cared. Unbelievable.
Hilarious.
Would you buy Coinier's?
No.
Yeah, me neither. Google acquired Nest.
Nope. Second one.
For $3.2 billion, to which I was like, really? Really? Like, the thing that detects fires and, like, detects the temperature of your house is worth $3.2 billion?
Data mining, man.
I mean, it was highly publicized, but, geez. You'd think they could have just built their own competitor for $3.2 billion.
3.2.
$3.2 billion. I mean...
It's crazy. It's
okay,
a lot
so
of freaking money.
One thing is that the Nest team stays put. They're going to keep working on Nest, so it's not like they're just buying the IP and any patents and the name. They're actually buying the team.
Like there has to be value in that too, because recruiting all these people that have all these experience and stuff would be really difficult.
Yep. I mean, Google Ventures had already invested tens of millions of dollars in Nest, so it's not like this is, completely out of nowhere. There was some talk about, hey, were you guys in talks with anyone else about it? Were you talking to Apple, this, that? And basically, Tony Fadell said, we're not going to talk about that. What we're going to talk about is the deal that just got completed and how excited we are to keep working on Nest and be a part of Google. So, fascinating. Okay, the fact that you already carry around an Android smartphone means that Google pretty much already knows everything that you do.
Yep.
Are you willing to let that extend to your home?
I don't use Google Chrome, though.
That's true. You don't.
And I usually run rooted.
Right. You do.
And, CyanogenMod. Not right now, but I usually do.
Right.
So, no, not really.
Okay, so you wouldn't let Google have a device in your home that acts as, the brain of your home.
I'm trying to separate myself a little bit.
What if it was really awesome? What if it, told you when the food in your fridge was spoiled? And what if it, okay, you know how there are apps for monitoring your sleep pattern? okay, and waking you up at the right time. What if it was tied into your phone so that, like, when you start to stir, it, like, fires up a cup of coffee, so to speak? Like, I know you don't drink coffee, but what if that is what we're talking about, where your home is that smart?
The fridge thing, I don't really have anything spoiled.
I know, but it's not the point. The point is the possibilities for the future. Like
Yeah.
pre-warming your toilet seat before you have to sit down on it.
I think what will happen is the whole NSA thing will be figured out at some point in time, and then I probably won't worry as much, because hopefully something will happen that is good. Because right now it is kind of a huge deal. I don't know what the heck I did, but I did something that wasn't good.
What'd you do?
There we go. I fixed it.
All right.
Yay!
All right, let's move on to our next topic.
Speaking of NSA stuff, Mozilla has made a fairly public announcement, and
Well, it's on
to
wired.com,
skip
so
through-
it's about as public as it gets.
It's also like everywhere else, which is what I meant by that. And it's like to skip the huge long thing. Essentially, what they're telling people to do is,
Why would you skip that?
oh god, is to analyze their code, their open source browser, and they want people to pay a lot of attention to their code, because what they're saying is if like a lot of these other groups, they are sent a what is it even called? Basically, they could be told not to talk about it and put in a backdoor at any point in time. So what they're telling people to do is pay attention, detect that, and then let everyone know, because they won't be able to let everyone know. And they're telling people use Firefox, obviously, because it's Mozilla, but also use Firefox and pay attention to us, because we might end up doing something evil. And if we do, we want you to know, and we want you to tell everyone, which is actually really cool.
I'm glad they're doing it now before there's a gag order.
Me too, exactly. Like, there's no, that's the word I was looking for. Gag order, words. Yeah, I'm happy they said it too, because basically what they're saying is it's highly possible that they will be receiving a gag order at some point in time and not be able to talk about anything that's going on. And if they tell you now you know, and now there will hopefully be groups that'll pop up that'll constantly be analyzing their code and tell everyone when something happens.
Yay, open source.
Yep.
Speaking of, okay, it's not related to open source at all, but Linus Forcell, one of the members of the Linus Tech Tips forum, has gone ahead and created an unofficial linustechtips.com extension.
And for people that are like, oh my god, make it official, the only reason why we're not making it official is because we are not deving it.
And it's not done yet.
And it's not done yet. It's not our thing, it's his thing. It's awesome, which is why it's like stickied and we're supporting it, but it's not ours, it's his.
It's actually like crazy awesome.
It's
something I'm
really
going to
good.
take a moment to talk about before we get any further is this. Linus is actually, it's so weird. I don't know many other Linuses. Like, for you, it might feel normal.
It's no. Whenever I
still
say
not-
his name, it feels like I'm talking to you.
No, I mean, if you meet another Luke, like,
Oh, no, it doesn't.
Oh.
There's not that many Lukes, actually.
okay,
I don't actually...
Really?
I think I know, like, one other Luke.
because there's at least one father of someone named Luke.
There's a few Lucas,
Right.
but I don't know actually that many people whose name is actually Luke.
Okay, well, for people whose names are really common, like the Matts and Brads and Steves of the world, maybe this is normal, but talking about someone named Linus is sort of weird. Anyway, other Linus, is a very, very big contributor and a very big supporter of Linus Tech Tips. You can see he's actually one of the First Blood Pink Badge owners, of which there are only a handful. And then this is a new thing. So we now have contributions open on the linustechtips.com forum. All you have to do is stop looking at Coinye for a minute there, and go to the store, where the featured items on the top will be the bronze contributor, silver contributor, and gold contributor badge. This is not limited in any way to people who just use the forum, and we'll probably do a video about it at some point. But the idea is just like, hey guys, if you want to help us out, that would be amazing. Every dollar that we get from the community is something that we can use to move away from more corporate sponsorship, or move towards being able to create new types of content, or basically it gives us the flexibility to do what we want to do, which is create more content and make it better. So there's no pressure. As always, there will never be a subscriber-only Linus Tech Tips content stream.
There's technically, to jump in here before people start freaking out, there's technically the subscriber only forum part, but if you
Yes.
have ever seen a dead forum, it is that one.
Yeah.
There's in the silver one, there's a post that is, there wasn't something here, so I thought I'd post here, and then that's still the only thing there. So don't worry that you're missing out of anything.
Yeah, there's technically dedicated subforums for contributors only, but I really don't think they're going to take off. I mean, the beauty, what I think people love so much about the Linus Tech Tips forum is that it's so active. And when you post something, everyone's talking and it moves really fast. And to go and limit yourself to talking to the couple dozen other people only that are other contributors, I think goes against the very thing that makes that forum appealing. But we put it in there because it's just we want to kind of, I don't know, give them something exclusive, I guess. So there you go, guys.
If they ever want to do something amongst themselves, they can, I guess.
They can, I guess.
But
whatever.
I don't know.
So there you go, guys. If you ever wanted to have a gold contributor, silver contributor, or bronze contributor badge on the forum, then now you can.
And have no ads.
There's one other... Oh, yeah, there's no ads on the forum with that as well. There's one other thing that is not official yet, but if we ever have stuff kind of left over around here and we were ever to sell it, there might be stuff listed in the store that shows up once you're a contributor and has different pricing depending on what level of contributor you happen to be.
Vague.
Very vague. Anyway, back to Linus's app. Do you want to run them through the functionality that it has?
Sure. So there's new stuff in here, which is exactly off of stuff that I suggested, which is kind of really cool. So I haven't used this exact version, which is unfortunate. But essentially, so the version I used was this section, if you want to mouse sound it. So you see notification sound, notification pop-up, always display number, and then the 2 Twitch streams. So actually, I saw people were connected to the Twitch stream and were saying how many people came here through the thing, because it told them that we went live.
Right.
Which is actually really cool. So it'll tell you if one of our streams is live. If you get a notification on the forum, you can set it to have a sound or have a pop-up or not, which is really cool, or have a number or not. I like how you can turn everything off if you get annoyed, because I had the notification pop up and sound and everything, and I thought it was really cool, but then after a while, I was like, I get a lot of notifications on the forum.
Yeah.
I need to turn this off, so I was able to turn it off, and that was nice. What he's added is now you can split notifications and messages, so if you get a PM on the forum, you can quickly jump to your PMs through this thing. So you just click on it, you jump right to your PMs. And he has a bunch of different notification styles now. So he has general notifications, messages, network errors, or if there is updates.
Very cool. I mean, it's actually really, really cool.
And apparently someone is working on getting it moved to Firefox as well. So hopefully that becomes a thing at some point, because I'll be super stoked about that.
Winamp not dead yet. Article from The Verge. Acquired by Radionomy. Yay.
They also acquired Shoutcast, and Shoutcast is 6,000 user-programmed radio stations with 13 million unique listeners, and they're hoping that they can expand that number by a factor of 5 or 10 in a while. And they're releasing new Winamp applications for iOS and Android later this year.
Awesome. Are we pretty close to the end here?
I think we're pretty much at the end, but I think we should cover this thing right before we move on. The facial recognition app. It's all in bold, because oops. But it's called Name Tag, and the idea is that it can recognize someone's face and then give you a ton of information on them based on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and dating profiles.
Yep.
And they're trying to expand it to be more specific about the dating profiles. Where is it? Plentyoffish.com, okcupid.com, match.com. And they're working on it so it can bring up that person's criminal history. So you'll be able to see essentially all their social networks and essentially all their possible dating networks and their possible criminal history, all by recognizing their face. They're also trying to get this integrated into Google Glass. Google Glass is standing against facial recognition apps, which is cool. But they're trying to change that. I don't know how they're going to, because this sounds horrible. One of the things they're saying is it will not be able to search profiles that are under 18 years old, but I know, I did it. I'm going to be completely honest. When I was a younger kid, to be able to get on certain websites or stuff, I'm like, I'm this year, click, scroll, click, whatever, doesn't matter. I still do that because it's fast and I don't care. So, like, that's not actually going to work at all. It has been denounced by Canadian privacy watchdogs as creepy and dangerous because it is creepy and dangerous. It was developed by facialnetwork.com, and you can opt out. If you go to facialnetwork.com's thing or whatever, I don't know if it's facialnetwork.com or if it's
But it's the
name
kind of thing
tag's
where
website.
you'd have to opt out like every once in a while to like update for whatever new social network you're
Yeah.
using. Like no one's ever going to end up properly opting out. And
And
I'm going to play devil's advocate for a minute here. I know if Kane was on still, he'd like yell at me for this, but I see the benign uses for this. I can definitely think of
Yeah.
ways that it could be useful without being creepy.
Yeah,
Like, for
but it's
example,
also super creepy.
it is super creepy. I mean, okay. So for someone like me, why would I use this? I have a really, really bad memory when it comes to faces and
Me too.
names. If I was walking around somewhere like CES, where these are people that I see maybe once a year, sometimes once every 2 years, but they see me in videos all the time and recognize me, and for me it's like really awkward when I don't know who they are. If I walked up to people and it was like, bleep, 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 this is who they are, I'd be like, right, them. And I know the details, but I'm really bad at faces. This would be great for someone like me, but I understand why people don't want it.
And like I would be way more okay with a super cut down version. I don't need it looking at people's dating.
Well, it doesn't need
profiles.
people's criminal history.
And I don't need dating profiles. I don't need criminal history. I don't need all this kind of stuff. Like that's creepy. Go away.
I wouldn't mind seeing your dating profile.
You know my dating profile. I don't have one because I'm with you.
I think you actually managed to take it one step further than me for a change.
I did. It was weird, and
That
it's not
was
true
weird.
because I think she's watching. Anyways.
Speaking of under 18, that reminded me of the whole Steam thing, where 93% of Steam users
January 1st.
are born on January 1st because people just fake it.
Yeah, it's annoying going through that age verification thing all the time, and no one cares, and no one actually follows it. I think my age on Steam is like 50 something,
Yeah.
because when I scrolled and clicked, it was just further than I kind of anticipated, and
Right.
didn't care when I saw it.
My age on Linus Tech Tips, on the Linus Tech Tips YouTube account, is like 107 years old, because I didn't think it mattered, and I figured I could change it if it really mattered. Can't change it.
I hope everyone's age on the forum is January 1st. I actually don't even know if there's an input for birthday. I don't care. I didn't
don't know.
change the registration thing. It's just standard.
Okay.
I
All right,
think
well, I
we
think-
finally made it.
That's it. I saw a couple questions in the Twitch chat. We're filming on a Blackmagic Cinema camera. Actually, it's brand new. I was borrowing Edsel's for the last few weeks, but that's one of the reasons it looks better. The other reason it looks better than usual is we're streaming on our new fiber connection. So we've got anywhere from 10 to 15 megabit up. That is just for WAN show and is like super duperly more difficult to have us not be able to stream on it. So that's part of the reason that it looks good, isn't dropping frames, and yeah, I'm super pleased because it looks awesome.
I think we might have to. I sent you an email during the show, which you probably didn't get, but we got a whole bunch of people complaining again. I think we might have to lower the bitrate not because of us, but I think we might have to almost lower the bitrate because of Twitch, to like help Twitch feed it to people.
Wow, saddest thing ever.
But I'm serious. We might want to try that because it seems to be okay when there's not a ton of people watching, but when we get a lot of viewers, it starts lagging, and that doesn't make any sense for our end. But it does
Yeah.
make sense for their end. So if we lowered the bitrate, it might make it easier for Twitch, and then it might work better. So yeah, that's an idea at least. Because it's fine. Like, we're stable. We've dropped 0 frames.
Yeah, 0 frames dropped, guys.
But people with really strong internet connections are lagging. So yeah.
All right, well, good night, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into the WAN Show. The archive should be up in a timely manner. I don't think there's any reason why we wouldn't need to. No, we are not animatronic. Thank you for asking, and we'll see you guys again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.